Now put your mic on. He's a soft speaker, so.
What's that?
Yeah.
It decides to turn on.
There you go.
Alright. Testing.
Yep.
I call it the jingle. Alright, so thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Jonathan Garner, and I'm a 23-year-old homeschool graduate and state and national advocate, cancer survivor, and I happen to have autism. And ever since, give me a second, and 1 second, sorry, I lost track where I was. And ever since I was 13, my vision has always been the same, to help others in any way I can. I'm the official ambassador for Operation House Call with the Arc of Massachusetts, a Flutie Fellow for the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation, the co-chair of the Massachusetts Support Decision Making Coalition, a board member of Mass Advocates for Children, a member of the Human Rights Advocacy Committee for the Department of Developmental Services, and Advocates for Autism of Massachusetts. Next slide. We are all taught a pretty standard script growing up. You are born, go to school, make friends easy, go to college, get a job, get married, buy a house, and everything lines up neatly. But what if your life does not follow that script? Does that mean something is wrong? I have learned the answer is no. It just means that your story follows a different route, and honestly, it is those differences, the unexpected turns, the parts that don't match the picture that make life real. Tonight, I'm going to take you through my journey. My autism, the challenges I faced in schools, my cancer experience, and my advocacy to share something important. I don't need my life to look like anyone else's. I want to live the story that's mine. People sometimes act like there's only one right way to learn or communicate. When I was 8 years old, a school superintendent told my parents I would never read or write. She said I would grow up eating a bologna sandwich in a loft apartment, unable to write my own name. Not because I could not learn, but because I did not match her idea of what a successful student looks like. They used tests that didn't fit how I learn. They focused on behavior instead of ability. They measured me in ways that did not show who I really was. And because I did not fit that criteria, they missed the things that mattered most: my memory, my imagination, and my problem solving, and my kindness. Here is the danger in that. Give me a second. I'm just gonna put it. Here's the danger of that. Once someone decides what you can't do, they stop looking for what you can do. But here's the truth. I did learn to read. I did learn to write. And now I teach future doctors and advocate across the state and speak around the country. Not because I changed who I am, but because I was given the chance to grow in my own way. Labels aren't real. People are. Everyone has an idea of what a typical student looks like. My story didn't follow a typical student looks like. In second grade, everything changed. My accommodations weren't followed. I wore a Sesame Street shirt, which you can see right there, because they made me feel safe. Kids bullied me for it. My teacher used to flick off the hat off my head, even though it was in my IEP to help me with sensory overload. I didn't have the words to explain what I needed, so my body tried to speak for me. I started hurting myself, not because I wanted to, but because I was overwhelmed. Things got so bad that one day I tried to jump out of a classroom window. No child should ever feel that desperate. After that, I was sent to an out-of-district program that was supposed to help. Instead, when I was overwhelmed, my teacher restrained me, sitting on me and pinning me to the floor. It felt like hot lava spreading through my body. It happened again and again, until my mom walked in and saw it happening. That was my last day as a student in the public school setting. A neurologist later diagnosed me with PTSD. Here is something I want every educator to know. Children don't melt down because they're bad. They melt down because they're overwhelmed, misunderstood, or afraid. No child should be restrained because a system didn't know how to support them. And that pain, that experience, gave me a purpose to make sure no one else goes through what I went through. I was diagnosed as autistic when I was 2 years old, but the school only saw my reactions. They did not see my intellect, curiosity, or kindness. They saw a problem, not a person. Instead of asking, what does he need? They tried to force their idea of normal on me. My family fought for me. They pulled me out and homeschooled me with safety, trust, and support. I finally had a space to learn again, and that's when I learned something important. Support doesn't take away independence, it creates it. When I was 8 years, well, excuse me, not when I was 8 years old. When I was 18 years old, life hit me with something bigger than anything I had ever faced. I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a rare and aggressive bone cancer. I had sensory needs. I communicated differently. I processed information differently. I needed consistency and people who understood me. But oncology moves fast, and the system often expects every patient to behave the same way. Sometimes doctors overlook my pain because they're so focused on my autism instead of my symptoms. One even told my mom to take me to a psychiatrist instead of checking for a medical problem. You can see the foot right there.
It's okay.
Gotta love technical difficulties, people. Let's see though. But it wasn't autism, it was cancer. And overlooking that almost cost me my life. This is one of the biggest reasons I teach medical and nursing students now. Disabilities doesn't cancel out medical issues. Autism doesn't erase pain. Behaviors are communication. What made the difference where the people saw who I am, not my label? My team at MGH, my mom, dad, and brother, they treat me as Jonathan, not as someone who didn't fit the mold. Cancer changed me. It taught me how fast life can shift and how important it is for professionals to see the person, not their idea of normal. Trust and communication were everything. When providers slowed down, explained things in plain language, or met me where I was, I felt safe. Without that trust, without that safety, I don't know how I would have even survived. I want to share some of the accommodations and personalized care that made a difference in my care. Everyone's personalized care looks different because what helps one person feel calm and safe might not help someone else. There is no single normal way for people to feel comfortable or understood. In college life, whether it's with friends, classmates, or roommates, the spaces we create should be flexible enough to fit different people, instead of expecting people to fit the space. Here are the sensory tools and regulation supports that I used. Headphones in case the waiting room was too loud, sunglasses if the lights were too bright, fidget toys if I needed to distract my brain and focus, a quiet space whenever possible, taking breaks during procedures. And here are some of the communication supports I used. Extra time for processing information, recording appointments so I could review them later, visual schedules and countdowns. Plain language always helps to explain things to me, writing down things for me, asking questions in a way that I could understand. And here are the supports from my team I used. My nurse David gave me a countdown before shots and blood draws, and we always talked about anime, pro wrestling, because he took the time to get to know me as a human being, instead of just a patient on a medical chart, and this built strong trust and stronger relationships. My My nurse Christina adopted the pain scale by asking me, adapted the pain scale by asking me how long I could play video games. Dr. Cody, my oncologist, always asking about what game I was playing to build trust in a relationship with me. My nurse Lauren, who shared her own lived experience, so I didn't feel alone. My nurse Judy Ann, who even came to my home after a long shift to give me fluids, so I didn't have to travel well exhausted. And my mother, okay, moving on. I'm just kidding. My mother, as my support person, came to all my appointments, and honestly, I couldn't have gone through it without her. And choosing adult infusion instead of pediatrics because it was less loud and less overwhelming. Here are some tools that made the biggest difference. My favorite tool was...
It's okay.
Ignore that was my water. Don't worry, nothing spelled. I'll pick that up later. Was this guy. Yes, he has a tongue now. Was a Cookie Monster plush. Now, what's special about this guy is he has a port in it because my father bought him, and my mother and him worked with the team to get a real medical port inside of him. Being able to feel the port on the Cookie Monster before feeling it on my own body took away so much fear. And my visual countdown chart with pictures of things I loved helped me feel in control of the timeline of treatments. It brought me joy and comfort when I needed it most. These accommodations weren't complicated, they weren't expensive, but they helped me feel human. Accommodation is dignity, accommodation is respect, and accommodation is safety. When I was 16, I started using I started using supported decision making, which is an alternative to guardianship. It means I chose the people I trust to help me make decisions, but I'm still the decision maker. When I got sick with cancer, I was 18 and I was already using supported decision making. Then halfway through my chemotherapy treatment and radiation treatment, I broke down. I told my mom, I don't care what happens to me. I just want it to stop. She said, Jonathan, I don't know the answer, but if you could put your faith in me, we'll figure this out. Together with my medical team and using supported decision making, we created a plan that saved my life and protected my mental health. That's what self-determination looks like. Not having decisions made for you, but having the support to make them. That's why I co-chair the Massachusetts Support Decision Making Coalition today. I started advocating when I was 8 years old. After everything I went through with my family, the Disability Law Center, and others, we helped pass the Massachusetts Restraint and Seclusion Law. That purpose took me further than I ever imagined. The State House, Capitol Hill, and across the country. I advocated for education, healthcare, police training, support decision-making, Medicaid, sarcoma research, and disability rights. One of my mentors, who is a lawyer who helped us pass the first law, told me, when we all work together, the world will be better. And I believe that with all my heart. These ideas about normal show up everywhere, like education. Schools expect everyone to learn and behave the same way, but no two students are the same. Healthcare. Medicine often expects a typical patient, but there is no typical patient. Adult life and independence. When you turn 22, people doubt I couldn't manage my own supports before they even talk to me. Real independence means having the supports you need to live the life you choose. And daily life. People aren't meant to fit one mold. When systems stop expecting everyone to be the same, people finally get to grow. Here's what made the biggest difference in my life. People listened to me. Even when I had trouble explaining myself, They took the time. People worked with who I am, not who they expected me to be. They helped me grow instead of shutting down. People believed I had potential. That changed everything. When you do that for someone, anyone, they do better. They feel safe, valued, and they move forward. Before I end and open up to questions, I want to share something that has shaped my entire life. Let people live their lives in the way that works for them. You don't need to steer someone else's choices or push your opinions onto them. If they're not hurting anyone, let them be who they are. Life becomes a lot better for everyone when we focus on our own path and give others the space to follow theirs. We all grow up with ideas about how life is supposed to look, but the truth is, every person has the right to decide what works for them. We get to choose what expectations we carry forward and which ones we leave behind. I choose a story where differences are not problems to fix, where patience matters, where listening matters, where people are allowed to grow in their own way at their own pace. My life has never matched the usual picture, and that's not weakness. It's the reason I am who I am. And I'm not here to fit anyone's expectations. I'm here to be myself. I'm Jonathan Gardner, and this is my story. And if you remember one thing from tonight, let it be this. Let people be themselves, and let that be enough. Thank you.